Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Comic Chronicle podcast. I'm your guys' host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. Today, we have on an amazing guest. No, we always will. Let's be real. So today, we have on, or whenever the hell you're listening, Mary Sangiovanni is on the show. Mary is a horror book writer, as well as comics, and boy, oh boy, do we get into about writing, equality in writing for men and women, and, of course, writing alien novels with the xenomorphs, the wah-wah sort of thing. You go... as I say, or as my wife does sometimes. So got that, and then of course, Marvel Zombies as well, all sorts of things, DC horror book, and some more stuff along the pipeline we'd actually talk about today. So we do a deep dive discussion, like I said, equality in writing, motivation in writing, as well as creatives, inspiration, stuff you guys should really listen to here. We talk about deep diving as a comic book writer, what it's like, and much, much more as we discuss our lives as comic writers. And of course, folks, if you did enjoy this episode, make sure you subscribe to wherever you listen to the podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, comicchronicle.podbean.com, or whatever third-party apps you guys are using. Be sure to subscribe. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, subscribe for more of this shit and also the dinosaur content. My YouTube page is Dakota Morgan. Social media, guys, is going to be down in the links below, but Instagram is at Dakota_Morgan97, and X, or XXX, aka old Twitter, is at Dakota Morgan 3. And Twitch, CodaRex97. If you want to catch me play video games. So all over the place here, folks, with content for you of comics, dinosaur stuff, all sorts of jazz here. And I'm so excited about this episode. Be sure to check out all of Mary's work, upcoming and previous as well. Stay tuned for more stuff. Be sure to check her out on all her places she's going to mention at the end of the episode. Thanks, guys. Now let's get into my talk with Mary.
That's totally fine. Oh, trust me. There's been some people who are like, I'm going through a remodel, and I've had people honestly say, I can't do video. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. And they're like, yeah, I just have underwear all over my office. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I feel you. I have all kinds of crafts. I'm trying to redo my office and fit all my crafting stuff and my writing stuff and everything, and it looks like a bomb hit. I'm not gonna lie. It's crazy.
I did say I had it ready to go. I did move everything to the left in my office. So everything, it's all like, if you turn the camera, it's over. Like, it looks like an episode of Hoarders. It's over on that point. Oh, the power of not being able to be home. All right. But yeah, I do got to say, Mary, is welcome to the show. It is an honor to have you here today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you inviting me. I'm excited.
Yeah, of course.
Be here.
And I do got to make it clear, too. I know I said it in emails and such, too, but this is, like some people do ask during the show, this is a very laid-back, uncensored show, so you can say whatever you like.
Great.
Yes. Kind of getting into it here, though, so I gotta say is that there's something about writers like yourself here. I'm a guy who's not been, I've delved into writing for film, but I've never been able to do horror kind of stuff like that and kind of the dark sort of thing. But I gotta say, folks like yourself who get to write like xenomorph aliens and everything like that, like you guys are like the best writers, I swear, because you're the most fun. I don't know what it is.
Thank you. Thank you. I had so much fun doing that. It was really a cool opportunity. They were Titan is the one who owns the license to the Alien, and I think to Predator now. And they were looking for more women writers to do some of their media tie-in work, and I was honored that they let me do it. It was so much fun. Just even the research for doing the Alien novel was so much fun because they give you everything you could possibly ever need to know, timelines and, character histories for everybody who's in canon in that universe, and videos about, who owns, which parts of the galaxy. And
yeah, there's a lot. I think people underestimate how much canon is in the Alien universe.
Oh, like, definitely.
Oh my Lord. A roommate and a good friend, Steve, shout out to you, Steve, is like, we love the Alien movies. We love it so much. And I've been reading the Marvel comics as well. And like, there's so many novels I'm slowly catching up on, but even the comics, like, they're insane. Like, there's just so much to it. And they're all canon. Like, is everything canon? Yes. Oh
yeah. They've made a concerted effort. My understanding is it doesn't go as back as, like, say, the Alan Dean Foster books, but they are making a concerted effort to make as much as possible within canon across the movies, the video games, the comic books, and the upcoming television show. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. It was nice to work within that framework and know that what I was writing is actually contributing to official canon in the Alien universe. That was, I think, probably the biggest thrill.
That's got to be wild to contribute to something like that. I mean, it's insane because like maybe someday this could be turned into something because you never know, like
Right.
what could be brought to life from a novel, right?
Right, exactly. It's kind of cool that I have my little stamp on that piece of history of such a cool franchise that I love, you know.
Yeah, were you a big fan before? I mean, you can be honest if you don't want to say for sure because you want more Alien books. It's fine. But were you a fan before the books, or
Oh, I
were,
was.
oh, you were?
I
Okay, good,
absolutely
good.
was. Alien, I think, was not the first horror movie I ever saw, but it was definitely one of the first. It was sort of that. My father is a huge science fiction fan,
Ooh,
and he used to basically school me in science fiction as a kid. And I think as I showed more of an interest in anything with aliens, anything sort of dark, he ushered me in that general direction toward Alien. And he said, well, if you like aliens and you like scary stuff, he said, this is an absolute must see kind of movie. And I was just hooked. I thought it was a pretty perfect blend of. See, it's interesting. The first Alien movie
mhm.
is a horror movie, in my
Yes,
opinion.
yeah.
The second one is an action movie, I think.
You're
It
not
has
wrong.
horrific elements, but it's
Yeah,
a different approach to it. And
yeah.
what they wanted for the book was both, which
Oh.
sometimes can be at odds with each other, you know?
Yeah, like
Um,
how do you go from like Terminator? Like it's trying to make Terminator with the stick, I guess, in the time wise, but like you got Terminator and turn it into a horror. It's
exactly.
possible. It's very possible, and this is going to be very interesting to hear the word horror on here because my Midwestern accent makes me sound like I'm saying horror, and I'm not trying to, folks. So, just really trying to make that clear. I have to make that clear because my wife gives me shit about it all the time. She's like, "What horror?" I'm like, "Yes." I mean, look.
I do have a funny story about that, actually. We can talk about that later.
Oh, okay. I don't, I don't know where that's gonna go, but all right, I'm excited for that one. Uh, so many ways. Oh God. Also, to make it clear, you may hear it. My cat Pedro has been going nuts in the office right now. He's in the office bedroom, and I can't let him out because he's just gonna want to get back in. So if you hear any weird
Oh,
sounds, that is Pedro. He's like a 12, 13-year-old cat with no teeth. He's like, Father, what are you doing, Father?
it's all good. We have 5 cats here,
Oh,
and
really?
we're actually puppy sitting, so
Ooh.
it's a menagerie. And it's constant animal chaos here, but
Oh,
we
shoot.
thrive. We thrive in animal chaos, so it's okay.
Yeah, I feel that. I got a big background in animal caretaking because I used to work as a crocodile keeper, zookeeper, like
Oh,
for big
cool.
wildlife, animal cop for like a whole bunch of different things. So, oh yeah,
Oh,
oh yeah. No, it's
nice.
animals are my forte. When I'm not writing comics or film, I work with animals, and it's a weird life, but it works.
But now, if I can interview you for a second, do
Yeah.
you find watching, like, I guess, creature feature type stuff, like animal
Mhm.
horror, insulting because animals don't behave like that, or because
No,
they're
I grew
maybe
up
not
with
the
that
bad guys?
stuff. I still love it. I
Oh
have my
my
cocaine bear still on my list to watch. Oh no, that's still there. I still got to sit
Nice.
down and have a beer and watch that. Oh no, I love. Oh, I got like Betty White and Lake Placid. I feel like that
Yes.
contributed to my love for crocodilians. I really did. So no, those are not. There are zookeepers who I know that do find that insulting. Even my
Yeah.
wife, who's a zookeeper, she loves them still too, and we definitely. She knows someone. She's like, why? But like, so she's kind of got them on TV a little bit there. But yeah, they're great. They're absolutely wonderful.
I do enjoy them. Although sometimes I wonder, like the people who study sharks for a living,
Mhm.
between Shark Week and this sort of proliferation of weird shark horror movies, like Ouija Shark and House Shark and Tornado
Yeah,
Shark, and you wonder like what the
yeah.
shark people must think. What is happening
Yeah,
to the world?
Octo Shark versus Mega
Right?
Snake, and I like, power to you filmmakers for getting it done. But Yeah, it's got to be insane. I couldn't even. I'm used to it because I used to do when I was in high school. I did paleontology program for a while, and because I love dinosaurs. And you want to talk about animals that are misrepresented in media?
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
Everywhere you go, and I'm like, oh, the science, and people are like, sacrilege. We don't need science. Like, okay, okay.
I think the jumping of the shark, literally and metaphorically, for me with those kind of movies, was Shark Side of the Moon.
I don't even know what. What? What?
If you've never seen it and you want to kill both brain cells in about an hour and a half of time that you will never get back, it's something that not just bends the rules of science, but folds them into little paper airplanes and just sails them out the window. Like science does not exist there.
Oh, I thought the iron sky of Nazis on the moon would like break me on the moon stuff with that, but no, that did it right there. Oh my God. You know, there's those writers out there who I wonder if it's just like, all right, guys, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna have a drink, we're gonna have a bowl and weed, and then just make it clear. And we're gonna just come up with ideas. And we're gonna fucking do this, and we're gonna make millions. And then they don't make millions; they make $10. But but you still get it made. And I'm wondering, as a guy who makes a bunch of stuff, where these people are pitching these ideas that get made. Like, where is this happening?
Exactly. I would like, how are you raising the funding for something like Toilet Shark,
Yes, lava spiders. And like, what be
right. who was on board for Tyrannopus and Octoshark,
I think that is a real one, actually, isn't it? I think that actually sounds familiar. That's the sad part. Oh,
right.
But the sad part is I still watch them, and I just am like,
I do too. Man. My husband gives me such a hard time about it all the time because he's like, he says, not only, he goes, you're killing brain cells, first of all. He goes, and you're just encouraging these people. You're just encouraging them to make more. He goes, and you're messing up our movie streaming queues with your nonsense.
Oh, the algorithms are all messed up now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're going to watch the serious documentary. Oh, well, look at that. There's Octoshark versus, Lake Placid 27. It's like, okay.
Right.
All right. There was Lake Placid versus Anaconda. I saw it, and I'm like, you know what? That actually sounds like a good time.
I have a new low though. Now I look for movies that have, weird animatronics and puppets. If a movie has puppets, you'd think that making the attempt at special effects, where like the puppets are involved, that it could be kind of cool. And you'd be surprised how very, very wrong, how often that is just a complete mischaracterization of the puppets.
Oh, it could look like it's painted on with a Sharpie, and you're like,
some of them are just, basically socks over a hand with little googly eyes glued to them.
Then blood looks like it's ketchup.
It's a whole new cinematic world out there.
Oh, it's one of those when you want to feel good about yourself a little bit. Yes, you're killing brain cells, but at a certain point you run out, is what I told my wife. At a certain point, I don't have any more to burn, and I'm still making stuff. So here we are.
It is, and like you said, it's always good at looking at that and being like, I could do that. I could write that better.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh shoot. Yeah. It's the sad part is my grandma's the one who my dad's side of the family, Rita, she's the one who got me into all that stuff. Like we watched like Placid, grew up with Godzilla suit movie, like the old Toho ones. And she was like, there's this movie on here. Let's watch. And like, she was religious on the Sci-Fi Channel. Like if I was over, she'd be like, I'm turning on Sci-Fi Channel. What were you watching before? Oh, the House Network, the HDN or whatever the hell it is, HDTV. There we go. Yep. And it was that. And then she flipped to the Blob. And I'm like, all right. And she's like, yeah, like this is awesome. I'm like, all right, cool. She's like, you want some McDonald's? Yeah, let's go.
She sounds like the coolest grandma ever.
Oh hell yeah! We live in a great world, and when people like comics, like I'll tell you in comics for a second. We live in a great world. Is that she knows she's not home right now? I love her to death. I think she still listens, and she knows who Ra's al Ghul is. Like that's the crazy world we live in. And she's like, "Is that where we're watching Gotham?" She's like, "Oh, is that Ra's al Ghul?" I'm like, first off, you didn't say Ra's al Ghul. That's even more concerning. But I didn't say like, holy shit. And she's like, "Oh, is that Mr. Freeze?" I'm like, "Yes." It is. How did you know? And she's like, I know this stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like, you guys want to watch this new movie? Yeah. He's like, Godzilla's coming out. Can we go to the theaters? Can you drive me? Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, a crazy world we live in now. It just shows it. But kind of curious with you, Mary. Just gotta turn it on. Where did you, because I always believe these are important to people, like where did you get your start in writing? Like where was that origin story that you're like, you know what, I want to write stories and maybe get turned into Lava Shark? Who knows?
Well, I'm shooting for Lava Shark. That would be the pinnacle of my career. But
the sequel to Lava Spiders.
I think for me, I mean, I always like to tell stories. I was probably like one of those little kids that was always making up stories. Like I can remember I went to a Catholic school and I can remember writing out the plot summary, or like I guess you'd call it like the like a little teaser of an idea I had in my head, and I was passing notes with and one of the nuns like confiscated the note and she read it silently to herself because I guess she thought I was like, saying something nasty or something. And she stopped and she considered, she's like, that's not a bad idea for a story, but don't be passing notes now in English.
Oh my god! Oh, that's hilarious.
So and then I worked at a bookstore because I had something of a misspent youth, and I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to have a job and not hang out with the hoodlums, behind the mall or something and smoke cigarettes and drink beers, I said, I guess I'll work at a bookstore because I like stories. I like telling stories. And I remember, I mean, one of the perks of working at a bookstore, and it was Brentano's. I mean, that should be some indication of how old I am. I don't even think Brentano's exists anymore. But I got to be like in charge of different sections. So I was in charge of the horror section and the occult section and the self-help section. And one of the things that you did was you'd be in charge of, re-alphabetizing and straightening. And sometimes you could hide back there and just read stuff. And I remember reading, I think it was like a foreword or an afterword to something Stephen King had done. And by then I was well into horror. I'd read a lot of Stephen King stuff, Clive Barker. I think I was first getting into Lovecraft, V.C. Andrews, all that kind of stuff. And
so, Mary, you mean to tell me Catholic school didn't stick?
It did not. Yeah. Catholic school, I think, was the first place I'd ever heard of The Exorcist and read pieces of it. It was like we had this sort of confiscated, the secret copy of The Exorcist. We were passing it around, reading reading all the dark and evil parts.
And you're like, this is cool. And they're like, we have failed, Mary.
Oh yeah. No, Catholic school did not stick. I applaud anybody who finds comfort in religion and it gives them a sense of peace and a sense of purpose, but it is not for me. Yeah. But one of the things Stephen King was talking about was, I guess at the time his agent was Kirby McCauley, and he was talking about how he was sitting on his back porch and he and his agent were having lemonade and they were talking about writing and horror and creativity and the state of the genre. And I thought, that sounds to me like a perfect life. Like, it was the first time it had occurred to me that all these books and movies and things that I love, like, somebody's job is to go out and make those, to write those books and make those films. And it, I guess, never really dawned on me prior to that it was a job you could have, like a thing you could do for a living. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, that's it. That's what I want to do. So I started asking around, so how do I, once I write a story, what do I do with it? And pretty much for like the next, I don't know, 4 to 8 years, however long it takes you to get through high school and college and whatnot, they told me, well, go to school, major in English, major in literature, major in writing, and go to the career placement office and see if they have an answer for you. And none of them did. It wasn't until I had my first job at a college where I saw a flyer for a New Jersey writers, because I grew up in New Jersey, a New Jersey writers group. And I went to one of their meetings, and it was basically those folks that taught me how to do everything. Like, taught me how to, format a manuscript and submit a query letter, or, which magazines I should be reading, where to find market listings for magazines that would accept fiction. And that was that, all that, go to school, get an education. It was not nearly as informative in the business aspects as going to those meetings once a month.
Interesting. So you were it was definitely a journey then for you. I like that a lot. Like it was definitely like it started in school, you went to the bookstore, you started doing the meetings. Like it was definitely the journey and figured. And that's a common story I would hear when I was doing more jobs in the film industry. You would hear that people are like, "Oh, wait, this can be a job." Once you figure that out, everything. I mean, I figured it out, and that's why I work in comics now. But like, and being able to accomplish what you can, once you have that realization, this can be a job. Like, oh, and there's people who I know like in their 50s that are like, "That's a job." Yeah, that's a job, and they had no idea. And like that would have changed my life forever. That would have changed everything. And once you realize it's a job, you can strive to do it. That's a big part of it.
Exactly. And I was lucky. I mean, my parents were very supportive. They said, if you want, if you want to be a writer, that's good. If you want to write, dark, depressing, spooky stuff, that's okay. But have something to fall back on. So that it was kind of a trade-off, where they said you need to go to college regardless. But if you want to go to learn to be a writer, that's fine. We want to make sure that you have what you need to have to not starve to death.
Yeah, and they're like, we want to make sure you eat.
Exactly.
Sort of yeah, have a roof over your head. It's not a box. That sort of
one
thing.
of the things they don't tell you in school or elsewhere till you're actually out doing it is that it's kind of a thankless job. It's a lot of rejection, and it's a lot of hustle, and you're not really guaranteed anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a conversation when you tell people that who are not in the creative arts. We'll sum it up, the creative arts business. Like when someone's not in there and you're telling them about it. Like I had a conversation with my wife, and she is outdoorsy as well. Like we're both outdoorsy folk, but she's not, and she's never done really anything in the creative arts. And then I'm telling her about like, oh yeah, like you get rejected all the time, especially when I was an actor. Like you're rejected, as a writer, like I've sent out scripts before, you get rejected. You do like, it's just rejection. It's like you win 1 million, but you lose 1 billion. And she's like, why the hell do you do it? And I'm like, wow, that's a good question. Right. Very good question here, love. Well, because I don't know. I mean,
you can't not do it.
Exactly. Really yeah. Like when it's, it makes you happy. Even though you get rejected, you still are happy about it. And if you're still pushing forward to do it, and you can't, what was it? Greg Grunberg told me this on a set once. And it was, and when I did a podcast with him once too, and he said that, once that moment comes where you're doing something and you say it's your dream and it's your love, the key to remember, if it actually is you can't see yourself not doing it. And if you can see yourself not doing it, then it's over. Then don't do it.
And that's a good way. It's actually a good way to look at it. Tom Piccirilli is an author. He had once said, if you were stranded on a desert island and you found yourself still writing stories with a stick in the sand, then this is the thing you're meant to do.
That's good.
And that was another eye opener. At one of these writing meetings, Charles L. Grant was our guest, and he said, "How many of you want to be a writer?" So we all raised our hands. We're all shiny and new. And he said, "Let me tell you what it's like to be a writer." And if you've never met Charlie was a lot like the horror writer equivalent of George Carlin.
Oh, really?
Like he had that kind of almost like a grumpy, I don't really give a damn if you like what I have to say kind of personality. But he was great. I mean, he was also very sweet and very, very generous and giving in a lot of ways. But he had said, he goes, okay, so let me tell you what it's like to be a writer. There will be lots of people who will never take the job that you have seriously. They will, they'll get mad that they think you're writing about them and you're saying things unfavorable. You'll lose friends. You'll lose jobs. There will be times where you can't afford to pay bills, so you can't eat. He goes, there will be times where you won't have heat in your house. You won't have electricity. They will shut things off on you. He goes, it will possibly destroy marriages. He goes, it will possibly destroy relationships with your children, with your family, with your friends. And he's just laying it on thick. He's saying, here's all the things that can go wrong. He goes, you will constantly be rejected. You will constantly doubt yourself. You will constantly worry if you're good enough. He goes, you will constantly have to hustle to find the next book, the next job, the next thing to bring money in. And then he pauses and he says, okay, how many of you still want to be a writer? How many of you can just not see yourself not being a writer? And a few of us still put up our hands. He goes, okay, then you're the ones I'm talking to. Let me tell you how you can do this and do it as feasibly as possible.
Oh, damn.
And then
I
he
would
gave us, yeah, he gave us some great advice about, like, here are the things to look out for, but it was sort of an eye-opening thing that this is often a thankless job, but when you know that you can't not do it,
yeah,
then you start planning on, okay, well, how can I do this as painlessly as possible? How can I do this so I optimize, my best chances for success? And the highs, like you said, like when you do sell something, or you do get something made, or you do get like a dream gig, like the alien thing, like
mm-hmm.
it makes a lot of that stuff worth it,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you can surround yourself with people who understand that it is a job, and that more than that, it's something that defines you, it's something that is a part of who you are,
Mm-hmm.
then that's like winning the lottery. When you get people who get you, and you surround yourself with those
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah, yeah. It's the greatest feeling as a creative, no matter what you do,
Mhm.
whatever you make. When it comes to life, like
Yeah.
shit, as in comics, like when you see that first artwork being done, even the pencil sketch. I have those
Mhm.
saved on my phone, so everything. It makes you want to cry. But when everything's completed, yeah, like
Oh
um
yeah.
yeah, my books are getting printed soon, and I'm so excited for that. But like, and so I'm gonna. And I told my wife, like, when I get it in the mail, my copies, I'm gonna bawl. And I'm like, you can
Oh
record me.
yeah.
And it's gonna bawl because I've never had any of my books printed before, and I'm working on a novel right now. And if that work,
Oh.
hopefully that gets done. When it gets done soon, and when if that hopefully gets published, cross fingers. Which I'll throw you the idea after the recording or later. But it's like this whole thing, like when you see it, or like when we worked in film, and it's got to be the same with you too. When you see it or you hold it, it's something. It's beautiful. Like you're like, this is
Oh,
why I
yeah.
do it. But then when people love
Absolutely.
it, oh, even when they hate it, I still love it. I'm like, that means you still read it.
Right. Exactly.
You still read it.
Exactly.
You still
You know,
give me money.
there's like little almost like steps to writing nirvana. It's like the first time I had a short story published, I was over the moon. Then the first time I got paid for something, the first time my contributor copies of my first novel came in, I slept with the box on, like, beside me, like beside my pillow, the
Really?
box.
Oh, that's
Oh
amazing.
yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
great.
I was so excited. And then
Hey guys, Dakota here, coming at you with a little ad break in ways that you can actually help support the show. Maybe asking, how can the hell can you do this? Well, how you can do it is by going into the description for this episode, wherever you guys are listening, and clicking the link on there for Redbubble. That's right, folks. We have the store, and we used to have it and promote it a little bit more, but it's coming back now, folks. The Redbubble store for the Comic Chronicle podcast. Go to the link down below to support. You can get the Comic Chronicle logo, and as well as other logos I have created for the show, and for you to wear on bags, shirts, sweaters, all stickers, magnets, all the stuff like that. You have Blockbuster Kid, Vigilante in Training, the podcast logo, and much more. So if you guys want to help support the show, go on over. Everything is 25% off for this year. We are doing that, guys, bringing it back for you and giving you guys a discount. So be sure to go over there, check it out, help support the show, and have some pretty good style. And now back to the show.
it's like little things, like the first time somebody says, hey, I just got through a divorce, I was in the hospital, whatever, and I read your books and it got me through that. Wow. First time somebody says, I write books because I read you in high school. Oh wow.
Oh, I haven't had that one
You
yet.
know?
So that's gonna be scary. I don't know if I want that. I don't know.
Well, there's that moment where you're like, oh my God, how old am I? how did I get here? But but it feels good to know that, like, you're doing for people what
exactly.
Like Stephen King did for me, and
Yes.
Rand Campbell and Clive Barker.
Yeah, it's not a feel famous. You don't feel famous. It's not like, oh, I get feeling famous. It's like, no, you feel like you did good in the world. Like you put positivity in the world. And that's why I think people misunderstand. They're like, you just want to be famous. I'm like, I could give a rat's ass if I'm famous. I don't care. As long as I can eat, and as long as I contribute some good in the world, that's all that matters. It's even if it's like when characters die, like, it's a whole thing about it. Like, if I know when my artists and them message me saying, oh, you killed this character? And I'm like, yeah. So they're like, why? I'm like, oh, if you're giving me this reaction, this ain't good. And this is, woo, and this is okay. Not good at all. Kind of talking about it though too is we do got to mention it because it was a good comic show, and I recognize you from one of your novels and then also from it. You did work with Marvel, by the way. So like, how was it kind of diving into comics for a little bit? Because you did Marvel and DC. So how was it transferring from novels to that?
It was actually, it was really cool. It was really fun. The first comic I did was for DC, actually. I did a horror comic, a Wonder Woman, like what if kind of thing for their House of Horror. And it was awesome because it's a different kind of writing altogether. In that you have to, I guess, imagine, well, you would know, you have to imagine comics as like a series of still shots that incorporate the most important things that you need to tell a story. Like when you're writing a novel, you can, you know, not to make it sound bad, but you can kind of fill it up with other like thoughts and transitional things and little word tricks and things like that. Comics is a distilled art, where you have to, I think, capture the essence of movement at just the right time, and also like what goes into the narration and the dialogue has to be able to convey a lot about characters to make them endearing and make the story exciting. Like one of the I had realized, because then I did some ghostwriting on other like graphic novel adaptations for folks, and I realized that not all stories translate well to comics. So that was kind of interesting. That if you want, like, if you have two people and the whole short story is basically the two of them sitting by a fire talking, it can be a beautifully moving short story and a boring as hell comic. But you can do stuff in the background. Like if it's a horror thing, you can have like the shadows from the campfire doing things that the characters aren't noticing on the rock wall behind them, or you can have different panels bleeding into other panels, or what you do with the close-ups of their facial expressions and things like that. And I like that challenge. I like the idea of conveying something that normally I have 80,000 words to convey in 10 pages, or even 20 pages. I like that challenge of trying to tell a compelling story with a different tool set. And when I did the first comic for Marvel, that was exciting too, because it's Marvel,
You're like,
wow.
You get the email saying, hey, can you do this? It's like, oh, for who? Oh, Marvel Comics is wondering if, yes. Right. Or even DC. I'd take any. Holy shit, I'd take any of those emails. Like, automatically, what is it? They're like, oh, okay, you're gonna write Wonder Woman. I don't know if I can do that, but we're gonna try.
Right. Well, that was sort of the intimidating thing, is that I like the first version of the script I did for DC. I didn't realize that DC and Marvel work more toward a T for teens kind of.
Yeah.
So I think I gave them something very R, and they said, "Oh no, you have to cut out certain things here." He goes, "We can't." First of all, he goes, I don't know how anybody sleeps next to you at night, because this is scary that you've done this."
Well, first off, it's a box of my books. Thank you very much.
Basically, the books don't care. They love me anyway.
Yeah, exactly. When my husband gets, I get mad at my husband who's next to me. I just turn over and there's my books, and I get happy again. Exactly. Here we are. That's why I go to sleep. And my 5 cats. Let's go.
But so I mean, there was some learning, some learning curve about the business side of it, But I thought, I mean, it was just fascinating. The editor that I had at Kensington that published a series of my novels moved over to Marvel, and he said, if I can ever, get you a gig with Marvel, do you want me to let you know? I said, oh, absolutely. I said, I like doing comic stuff. And I kind of thought it was not that he was just being nice, but kind of, because I thought this is Marvel. I could write 50 books, but I'm still new to Marvel folks because I don't, I've only done, like a very limited number of comics.
Yeah.
But then he goes, we're doing Marvel Zombies, and it's sort of a one-off kind of thing, and would you like to pitch something? And I said, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to do this Marvel Zombies, this Shaun of the She-Devil, who I think is a fascinating character, and Kazar. I mean, it was kind of, and I thought, too, because they're sort of removed from the rest of the world and from a lot of the other Marvel characters, that I wouldn't have to worry about like stepping on toes, like using people I wasn't supposed to or anything like that. And it was like a really great experience, because you're just constantly learning. Every time you write something new, you're constantly learning. And
Yeah.
I think, having written the Alien novel, they thought, okay, well, she's done something for Disney before, so she can do this too. I think that's what got me in the door. That's what let my old editor, that I think they gave him permission to let me do this, because I'd done something for Disney before.
Yeah, and they're like, she's got the chops and she's worked for a
exactly.
company. Like, as soon as you do that one work for a company, people look at that and are like, oh, you got published here. Okay.
Exactly. And then once you're kind of in, not so much with DC. I tried to get more work from them after the horror in House of Horror thing, and at the time there was a lot of turnover, so I was never sure who to contact, and I think I just got sort of lost in the shuffle. But Marvel, because of the zombie one, now I'm doing one of the vampire ones with the new vampire thing that's coming out.
Yeah,
so I'm doing a Satana one.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that's fun. That's been fun, because again, they're letting me use characters that haven't appeared, say, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, and in Satana's case, that only appear almost kind of like disjointedly in these weird sort of side projects. So I feel like I have like almost free reign to do whatever I want with Satana, and that's been fun. Working on that script, that's been a lot of fun so far.
Oh, that's got to be. I mean, it's true when you get characters like that you were just like, there's not that many things of them right now, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. That allows you. I'm gonna say it allows you a lot of freedom, but I may be wrong on that. But there's that thing of, what can I do with this? Like, the possibilities has got to seem endless. Like Satana, like that's one. You're like, okay, the stress has got to be there, because okay, who people are gonna be? Satana, who's this again? Because sadly, there is that. People are like, who the hell is this? Like, let me tell you, kids. let me tell you, new comic book fans, here's Satana. Like, to be able to have that, and that's got to be a little bit of stress, but it's got to be so much entertainment to do. Like, it's got to be just so much fun.
It is. And the funny thing is I think especially coming off the Alien thing, I think I worry so much more about continuity than Marvel seems to. If that's
yeah,
say,
yeah, we'll say to that. But that's fair. That's fair.
So
it's so big.
It is. It's so big, and every time there's new artists and new writers, there's sort of a shift, and most of what seems to constitute continuity is more like the legacy of these characters. So if I'm working on somebody that is less known, in a way, I'm almost establishing some elements of the continuity, maybe, and that's kind of cool. That's sort of fun, and I feel like the people who know, and I want to do right by them. So I have been doing some research, but there's a lot of, and then Marvel's pretty good about saying the little things I wouldn't think of. Like, for example, I had something, honestly, I can't remember exactly what it was, but in the zombie comic, it was black, white, and blood. So it's a black and white comic that the only color is red, like where there's blood and stuff.
It's very metal. It's a very metal concept.
It is.
It's very cool. We got to say that. Like, come on, like, come on. Cool.
It's pretty awesome. But there was some description that I had given, and they said, well, that's not really relevant because we're not going to see colors except for red. It was like little things like that like, and then you start seeing, okay, well, I can only say so much, because otherwise the narration bubble is going to take up the whole panel and you're not going to see any of the cool art. So
Yeah.
it's been sort of an interesting thing, and a collaborative thing, which also, like, when you're primarily, unless you have like a co-writer, which I don't often have, writing novels is a lone thing. And ultimately, when you're writing original novel length fiction, you're the final say. An editor can say, well, you need to fix this, or we'd prefer you take this out because it's too much, or we'd like to see it go in this direction. But ultimately, it's up to me how I do that and if I do that.
Yeah.
And so it's been interesting to sort of let go of the reins a little bit and say, okay, put a fight scene here, and not feel that I have to describe to the artist what every little inch of the panel should look like. I mean, you want to give them, obviously, some direction, like this should be a fight scene between this person and this person. Maybe this stuff is happening in the background, but it almost feels like cheating to me a little bit to just be like, just include in the script, just like, a fight breaks out with, the zombie dinosaurs and the good guys, and just sort of let the artist fill that in for you.
Yeah, because you're not given that giant description, and you're like, oh, like, you're not trying to describe it like you would in a novel. You're just like, this thing happens here, but then you get to, when you see it, and you're like, oh my god, that gets better than I could have written. You're like,
right.
I feel that a lot. Like, I write 5 different series for SGGS Comics. Let me tell you, like, whenever I get a panel, I'm like, I put it in there. I'm like, this character looks on, or like this battle. One of them's a giant monster book, right? So when I put like, oh, monster attacks thing here, and then you see it, you're like, I couldn't even describe what I'm looking at right now. It's so beautiful. Yeah. And yeah, I feel like you're cheating. I've never heard anybody say that before.
Well, because in a novel, it's like I don't want to. I can't gloss over that because, like I need to put the details in so that they can see what I'm seeing. And, it's almost like choreographing it for a novel.
Yeah.
But for the comics, I can get away with just putting in the script, like, I want to see a big battle here. It'd almost be like, like to use, like, say, Lord of the Rings as example. I want a big battle here between, Gondor and the elves on one side and, orcs and goblins on the other side. And that artist is going to create this super detailed, big splash page battle scene that, and capture their facial expressions and like the stuff in the background and the stuff in the foreground, where like in a novel, I'd have to describe all that. Otherwise it's almost like, write it or pictures or it didn't happen, write it or it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But in a comic book, I can just say, okay, I'd like a battle scene here. And part of it is relying on the artist, trusting the artist to do what I imagine, to still convey the emotions and things I want to convey. But that's like kind of where my job ends with comics, and the artist's job begins. And I've been lucky so far, thank God, that all the comics I've done, the artists just seem to naturally have a knack for what I want to happen, for what I want to, convey in the facial expressions, or, and all I have to do is say, she looks upset, or she's, worried about her child, something like that. And they're the ones doing like the job that I guess actors would do. Like if you're writing a movie script, you have to trust that the actors are conveying the emotion and that they're conveying the movements the right way, that they're getting the subtleties of the character. In a book, I'm defining all of that. But in a comic, I'm trusting the artist to define based on the prompts I'm giving them. So it's both like a little nerve-wracking, but also like a little bit freeing. Like I can say, hey, okay, just, I'm trusting you to take this ball now and run with it and, keep the momentum going. And like you said, when you see an artist's interpretation of something you've written, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so you're filled with joy. I also got to say to that, Mary, is the reason why you're a published writer is because I've never thought about it like it's like a film script and it's with the actors and the art. No wonder you're published so much. I'm like, oh my god, I even worked in the movie business, and holy shit, I've never even put those two together.
Oh my God. Wow. All right. It's true. I always have a fear though, and I don't want to take too much more of your time. We've been talking for a while, but like, my big fear is like I don't want to write too much and make it. I don't want to make the artist's life hell. I don't want to make his life a living hell, because you're like, oh, this really cool scene, and the artist is like, how the hell am I supposed to do this? You want what? 40 people in a scene? Individual? It's not the Clone Wars? No, that ain't gonna happen. You want to make sure you don't do that. Oh, man.
I do. Now that you mention it, it's funny because I do feel a little bit bad. The first comic I did for Marvel with the zombies, there is a big fight scene with like zombie dinosaurs and zombie people, and even zombie Kazar and Zabu, and against like the Ares, like the bird people, and the and the other good guys, and the artist did these sort of beautiful like fight scenes with the Ares swooping down on the zombie dinosaurs, and all kind and this one too, it's going to be a huge fight scene in a club. It just sort of works out that this is the setting, is this bar that Satana runs. It's like, I am just hell on artists.
So meanwhile, you're just gonna say, and you're like, oh, the artists have done such a great job and whatnot, and like no one's ever said anything bad. And meanwhile, there's like a club of like, all right, guys, Mary, what do we think?
Like, oh God,
this is the Mary support group. Like,
exactly.
Did you hear on that podcast the other day? Everyone saying like, oh, no one's ever giving a shit.
Right, Marvel's puts a call out for artists for me, and they're like, not it.
They reject. They're like, you want to do your first job at Marvel? Nope. So nope. Right, dude, we're good. Put in spam folder. Oh, sorry, I missed it. My bad. Oh man, you like I said, we didn't take too much of your time, but I do gotta ask though, like, what? As a writer, as a fellow writer, like, is there anything you think you want to do still? Like anything, like your own ideas you want to put out there? Is there anything like IP you want to still touch? Because you've done DC, Marvel, Alien, like you've done a few different bigwig things already, just to name those few. Like, is there anything you want to touch, whether novel or even comics?
There are a couple actually.
Okay.
Some of them I don't know if they're even licensed. Like I know that Titan has the license for Conan the Barbarian.
Ooh.
And before horror, fantasy was my first love, especially like sword and sorcery and sword and sorcery and high fantasy, which I know kind of are almost like two opposite ends, but I loved all that. If I could do a Conan novel, that would be awesome. I would love to do that. Because I think I could do it in a way that's both true to sort of Robert E. Howard's vision of Conan, but not completely racist, sexist.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think
let me save you, damsel. Now will we bone? And then no, we won't.
I could make it something that is palatable, but still true to the way that the audience sees Conan, and of course Silent Hill. I am the biggest Silent Hill geek, and if they would let me do a Silent Hill comic or a Silent Hill novelization, I could nail it.
I'm Googling this right now. Is there any Silent Hill books?
There are there are graphic novel, like little small graphic novels.
Really?
And there's like little novelizations of things, but like it seems more it's in like a graphic novel format. And I think it's IDW that does it.
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. IDW. Yeah, it looks like IDW is the one that did it there. And you're right, there is a few of Silent Hill Downpour. Interesting. Yes. I've seen my dad play Silent Hill when I was a kid, and I love it. It's
It is, and because I'm a huge cosmic horror. Like cosmic horror is my jam, and I think Silent Hill is just so beautifully done. I mean, I like even the games that like other people don't like. I can like like the comic book guy in The Simpsons. I can actually anybody about like Silent Hill mythology.
Oh, you're that deep in. I love that. You're that person. They're like, what hill is Mary dying on today? Silent Hill.
Yeah, that's it. That's the hill.
Got her hill. Everyone's got one. And you're like, nope, Silent Hill's mine. Mine's Jurassic. And you're like, here's nope, Silent Hill.
Oh yeah, I would love to do that. And honestly, I'd like a hand at, maybe doing like movie scripts, but I admittedly I find that a little intimidating. But I've also found that if you're going to have a lasting writing career, you have to just almost stupidly just go for it. Even if it's something that intimidates you, you just got to do it anyway.
Hey guys, Dakota here with a little bit of an ad break for you, and right now, you may be wondering, how can I make a little bit of extra cash while supporting the podcast? Well, let me tell you how. The saloon doors are open, folks. You guys can support the Comic Chronicle podcast by having an ad in the show. That's right, folks. You guys can take a break from my annoying-ass voice and have an ad for your thing here on the show. To make things clear, we're not doing things political because we don't really get political on the show that much. So if you guys do enjoy the show and you want to give a little bit to the show while also making some cash back for whatever it may be for you, or supporting something that you do, whether it's a YouTube page, a podcast, a book, whatever it may be, your upcoming event, I can put an ad in for you guys, whether make it myself or you have a pre-recorded ad, that is up to you. Now, if you guys want to do an ad here in the podcast, you can go and email me at filmworld, that's filmworld97 at gmail.com. Email me there. We can work out all logistics. So if you guys want to support the show and support your thing as well, come on down. And guess what, folks? Email that email. Now, let's get back to the show.
If the opportunity comes up, you say yes.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a buddy of mine. He said he was saying actually not too long ago, it's like, we as writers, if you stick to one thing only, like say you're a novel writer, right? I mean, you clearly, Mary, you've done more than novels. And if you just stick to novels, you're never going to go anywhere. Your career is going to be short-lived if you have one, and you have to evolve and do different stuff. And if you don't, then you're going to go nowhere. And it's like, it's very true. It's very, very true. I mean, when I was a script writer, I'd turn in scripts for whatever film things, and, even did a fan film at one point, and then I went to comics and then did audio drama. So like, and people are like, well, I thought you were just writing scripts for films. Like, no, you got to move on. Like, you got to adapt, evolve, and we love what we do, obviously, going back to that, but you have to do it. And it also makes you a better writer, too, when you switch.
Yes.
At least I think, because it evolves how you tell stories. It evolves, like, character development. It evolves so much of how you just tell a story when you switch different mediums.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, get a better appreciation for different storytelling formats,
Yes.
and how hard it is. I mean, just to put an independent film, a 10-minute independent film together. I mean, I know, and I do enjoy watching the terrible things, and I do enjoy kind of laughing at the terrible. But I have also, in what little forays, like what I've done for comics, the filmmakers that I know, the independent filmmakers and stuff, and the script writers, and a lot goes into it that I think when you're just a consumer of something, you don't realize like how much work and effort, and how many, especially when it's the more collaborative it is. I think the more plates you have spinning up in the air there, that I think you get a new appreciation for the people who do that. And like you said, you're building your skill set, so you become a more versatile commodity, I mean, for lack of a better word, so that when a job does come up, and you are looking for, the next thing to pay your bill, so that, you can make this as viable and painless a career as possible, then you can do it, and you can do it with confidence, and you can turn something in that you'd be proud of. See, I think that, I think that the opportunities that I've had for, comics and the Alien novel, and, some other projects coming up, I treat them as not just an opportunity. And this is almost going to sound pretentious, and I don't mean it. I really don't mean it that way, but it's an opportunity for me. So I take that seriously because it's my reputation on the line. But if I do something good, if I turn in something good, then maybe the next time an opportunity comes up like that, people will say, well, she did it and she's a woman. So, maybe we should let, women have this opportunity to do more of these, because, well, Mary did it and it wasn't terrible. So,
I mean, that's fair. It's not really pretentious. Let me say that right now. That's just being professional as shit. Let's just be honest here. like outside looking out for you. You gotta look out for you too. Like, yes, there's a team efforts, but you have to look out for you. And in a guy, I don't have to. I don't. No, I should make it clear. As a man, I don't have to worry about certain shit like that. As a woman writer, like yourself, has to worry about. But like, oh, a woman did it, so Mary did it. Like, yeah, that's the thing I don't ever have to worry about. So that's why I give kudos to every female writer I know, because like it's also a lot harder for you guys, it seems like, and it's like a little bit of difficulty with it. Like, oh, female writer, like how does she know? It seems like that's still a thing, and I wish it wasn't. But I always, like I said, I give kudos to anybody in the industries, but as female writers, it's definitely a little bit more difficult, it seems.
It is. And thank you. Thank you for that, because it's certain areas of the business that it's still tough for us to break into, and
which is stupid. I should say it's very stupid.
It's almost like there's still a very narrow perception of what women turn in when they turn in work in horror, and it's almost like we just need a couple of opportunities to break that surface tension so that we can get in there and say, no, look, you wanted, because it's a business, and it's an entertainment business. So part of it's who you know, and it makes sense that people who are, for lack of a better way of saying, who are sort of gatekeeping, like say, movies and television and comics or script writing, or certain parts of the business that are still sort of, because they have traditionally been male dominated, still sort of are. Yep. We just need those opportunities to say, yes, we can turn in the work that you want. We can turn it in on time. We're easy to work with. And if you keep giving us opportunities, then we will have the name recognition to be, something that if you add us to your project, we can help sell it. We'll bring in the fans, we'll bring in the viewers, we'll bring in the readers.
Exactly.
And it's just a matter of breaking that surface tension, getting in that one thing that starts to shift the whole viewpoint, and make more opportunities.
I think correct me if I'm wrong. I was going to ask, has it gotten better?
It has.
Okay.
Oh, it absolutely has. When I started moons ago, there was still people who, really had no qualms about like trying to proposition you sexually, in exchange for a publishing contract. There were still people who thought, well, she's a woman, so she's probably a groupie.
Jesus.
It was a lot of that kind of crap where, it was almost, and that was the worst end of it. The best end of it was that we just weren't thought of. Nobody thought, oh, hey, let's ask so-and-so, because they were thinking of writers they knew, writers they recognized, that known quantities.
Yeah.
And women just weren't that, because we hadn't been around long enough. And since then, I see, because I don't want to be known as, well, she's a great female horror writer, because that's qualifying it. I just want to be a horror writer,
which is what you are. You're just a writer. It's not, you don't need to say he's like, because how stupid would it sound of, he's a great male horror writer. Well, that doesn't sound right. But then, so why does a great female horror writer sound right? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Exactly. I think, well, the best we can do for, a level playing field across like genders and races and orientations is for when we can get to a point where I am not the best of a small pool of people you're pulling from. I'm just as good as anybody in the greater pool that you're pulling from, and we're all working, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what I'd like to shoot for. It's just, continuing to do these things so that eventually I don't get the gig because they need a woman writer. I get the gig because they need a writer, and they know they can count on me to deliver something that they want. I
love that. That's what I think a lot of writers should aspire to right there. And it's what a lot of people should aspire to in general in this, but that's beautiful. Honestly,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's true though. And I hope people take qualm in that, for people who are listening in the business, because I know you guys are out there, you hire big wigs, you still haven't hired me for jobs, but listen to Mary for this, because it's true. Like, and to say it as well too, I honestly, like, I know because we were saying with equality, but it's a lot of horror that I read that I love is by female writers. Like I'm gonna say it. Like it's the like a lot of the best horror is female writers. And is it because females go through a lot more shit in life than males do? Yes. And I will fully say that one. And so I say to be able to be write better horror, maybe. But it's the thing about why separate people in that way? I mean, one, I'm gonna say it, and it's blatantly obvious, is it's 2024. What the fuck? And we live in the future. We have brain chips going on right now, and you mean to tell me, like, oh, well, the best female writer, really? Come on, what? It's not 1820. Like, get out of here.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
what's going on here? We have a moon base about to be built, and you mean to tell me we're still going to separate on gender for writing? Are you shitting me? What are we doing? What's going on?
Exactly. Oh, and we could do a whole show on it. We really could. But,
yeah. Mary, how about this?
basically-
We can bring you back on the show, and we'll talk just about that because if you ever want to do it, just let me know.
Anytime.
Oh shit, we do because we're gonna have to call it here. So we'll end it here, but for people, come on, that may be a thing. And so Mary, can you want to promote for yourself right now that people can go pick up because we're near the end of the show here? Like I said, don't want to take too much of your time, and we've been talking for almost an hour. So I just now looked at the time. I'm like, oh shit, we were getting really deep, and I'm like, we can't do that right now because we're gonna look at the timer. This gonna be my wife and I call time blindness, and we're gonna be like, this is a 2-hour show, and everybody's wondering if we're dead.
Because I can talk. I do. I can talk. And sometimes you gotta rein me back in.
Yeah, you and I both. That's the problem. We're all like, what would you like to promote, Mary?
I would. Okay, so I have a short story collection that I wrote with my husband, Brian Keene. It's kind of a good sampler of the sort of range that both of us have, and that's called Things Left Behind. That's available. That's available now. I'm really excited about a haunted house novel I have coming out soon from Thunderstorm Press. I don't know the exact date, but it's called The Everywhere House, and it's got a sort of unique, I think, cosmic horror twist on haunted house stories. Really excited about that. And then I also just finished a novella with fellow author Ed Lee, which is a sort of Lovecraftian. It's funny and a little bit of gross and creepy, and I'm just very excited about that. That's probably not coming out till 2025 though, but I know folks who are Ed Lee fans they were wondering about, and of course I have, as we talked about, the Marvel Black, White, and Blood zombie story. I'm in issue 4, which is out now, and I will be in the Marvel Vampires. I think it's going to be a while though. I don't think it's due right away, but it's going to be a Satana story for the Marvel Vampires.
I've seen it in the solicitations, and I think it's a while out.
Yeah.
And we should also make it clear too. What is the name of the alien book that we've talked about? Because we never.
Oh yes. And the alien book is called Alien Enemy of My Enemy. And for role-playing folks out there, if you like role-playing games, it comes with a module at the end that is based on something that happens in the novel, which I also think is cool because I'm an old school D&D nerd. So
yeah, you know what? Anytime a novel includes like a map in front of it, like The Lost World did, and like Michael Crichton did with all that, I cry. I'm like, this is beautiful. Like, thank you, because it's so nice. Because then you can be like, oh, you can turn to it in the story, or you can go to it, or or it's like. It just makes it feel more real, and you got an idea of what to build in your head for your imagination. Like, oh, it's awesome. Oh, I love that sort of thing.
I agree. Or
even pictures. I'm a sucker for pictures in a book, like the center of a book. There's like, here's these pictures. Like, oh, sucker for it every time.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'm easy to please. That's what my wife proposed. She's like, he's easy. He's fine. She's like,
I agree. I agree with you.
Oh man,
I love that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, we're so easy to shop for Christmas, Mary. Like we're the really easy to my family who said I'm the hardest one to shop for Christmas my whole life. You guys are full of shit, and you never pay attention.
I know.
Oh,
I feel like I'm the easiest person. I'm the easiest person to shop for. And when in doubt, Amazon gift cards. I'm all about it because then I can buy all that kind of stuff myself.
That's fair. That's a good point. Mary, where can people find you at too if they want to find you on the interweb?
Sure, I am still lingering, although I'm not sure why, on the tire fire that used to be Twitter.
Oh, I call it
I'm
triple X
on,
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
on Instagram, Blue Sky. I have a website, marysangiovanni.com. And I have a newsletter. So if you go to the website, you can subscribe to the newsletter on Substack. And I try to send something out once a month, just hey, here's what's going on. And here are some cosmic horror recommendations and, that kind of thing.
Very nice. I like that. I like newsletters. I got to sign up for that because I like when following other creators on their newsletters, and I read them, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like I get stuff for scientific publications because I work in a science field, obviously, and then I love the creators' newsletters because, like, you know what, good on you. Happy to see you're still working and still doing what you love. Like that's what I love about those. And people are like, oh, where can I find them next? I'm like, I'm just happy to see you working and you're alive and doing well. And you're doing what you love. That's what matters. All righty, Mary. Well, I will let you get going here. So again, thank you for coming on the show. This has been a blast. And
absolutely, anytime. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you know what? Whenever you want to do it, let me know. Whenever you think the time is right for it, because I feel like we could really time it right for society. And whatever happens, especially this upcoming years in America, we definitely can do it. Having that talk. We need to have that talk.
It's good. Oh, you know what? And I can't even believe I almost forgot this. If you don't mind me just plugging one more thing.
Of course.
My husband and I just opened a bookstore. It's a horror, science fiction, and fantasy.
Are you shitting me?
Comics. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We've been open for a little over a week now, and of course, we sell our books there, and we sell comics. We're going to start up with some new comics too. So if you go to vortexbooksandcomics.com, we're in central Pennsylvania, but we're going to have events. We're not too far from Maryland. We're not too far from Philly or Harrisburg, New York City or Washington, D.C. We're all kind of like within driving distance of that. But we sell our books. We sell other horror and some hard to find old school stuff. And so and we have a newsletter too for that. That has like an events calendar. So it's vortexbooksandcomics.com.
That's the cutest shit I have heard. You have no idea how much. My wife now has competition. she is, we got stuff. I'm calling her out right now.
Nice.
That's, I mean, I can't say shit because we do national park tours all the time. So there is that, but like, that's, you can't see my reaction because we're on, like, we don't have to do the video, but Mary, that is like, I love that. I want
thank you.
You guys got to do like posters. Like, if you do merchandise, like shoot me an email because I will buy merchandise.
Definitely.
Sure. Yeah, I'll post it around and I'll wear stuff. That's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, we're working on getting the Vortex Books and Comics t-shirt.
Oh, yes.
So we're gonna have that, and probably like little mugs and stickers and things like that. I know he's working on that end of doing the merchandising stuff. But yeah, we're really excited. We want it to be a destination kind of place, and we want to have just like a nice little community there where folks can come and talk about like this kind of stuff, the stuff they love. So
yeah, that's in person too. It's not just an online group thing. It's like actually go in person, talk to. Oh, beautiful thing. Oh, it's wonderful. It's like the internet cafe, but for horror fans. I love it.
Exactly.
It's the coolest thing. Yeah, I'll take any of the merch. Cause I post pictures whenever I read stuff. I'm like, oh, let's check this book here, or like reading this thing, or like start of the day. And I usually post a picture of my coffee within like a mug, so I can easily snip in some of your guys' mugs in there. Say the least.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice. Thank you.
We're a big mug household here too. We got a lot. We got too many. we got way too fucking many mugs. Oh God. Well, okay, we got to end America. Like I said, we'll keep going. All right. You rock, Mary. Again, thank you for coming on. And
thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, likewise. I'll let you know when the episode comes out. I think it's really going to be tomorrow. So I got some editing to do with sound waves and all that. But yeah. Oh, thank you, Mary, for coming on. I will talk to you later.
This was awesome.
Yeah. You have a good one. Okay.
Thanks. You too. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.